Welcome to this very special edition of the KAJ Masterclass Live, the show which ensures that you profit from your time spent here with experts, either through the industry insights, information, or simply learning from them. And today we have Reid Holmes. He is the author of Appreciated Branding, Transform Your Brand from Ignored to Irreplaceable, and it also spent 25 years as an ad agency creative leader. Welcome to the show, Reid.
Thank you, Ajay. Great to see you.
Welcome to the show. Welcome to the to India in this online form, Reid. And I'm sure not just in India, but a lot of people across the globe will benefit from what we are going to discuss right now. We'll be talking about how one can transform their brand. But before we talk about transforming brands, let's understand how you transform your life from being a creative agency leader to being an author and thinking about transforming brands from ignored to irreplaceable. Tell us a bit about your journey.
Well, that's a great question. And I think it all comes down to a revelation that I had where my kids were graduating from high school. And I realized that, in the advertising business, what you're doing essentially is a lot of ephemeral kind of work that just kind of works for it's fun to make and companies make a lot of money, but they keep that, and my work, it just kind of does its thing and goes away. So I wanted to do something more lasting, something that hopefully leaves a bigger legacy and helps others do good in the world too. So I spent some time thinking about it. I finally had a light go off on what was I decided to write a book basically on this idea. It seemed to me, and I've had a lot of people agree, that marketing is it's just a deluge now on people. It's an onslaught, and ever since the invention of the smartphone, that space 15 inches, or half a meter in front of your face is just, it's pure ad space. So we're just all getting killed with ads. And I wanted to do something more meaningful, something that would help brands thrive and succeed, and something that would also help the world. And I think there's kind of a circle where they join, where the needs for the brand and the needs for society kind of overlap, and both prosper in that center space.
Right, Reid. So you spent 25 plus years, and now you become an author, and now you want to change it. Those people inside the industry, they will say, Reid, we still have got bills to pay. Our children are still young. We haven't yet felt like you felt after those years. So we will continue to do what you did for so many years. What would you like to tell them? You want to fix branding. Can it be fixed with so many people trying not to change? Even the owners not trying to change, brands not trying to change, big powers not trying to change. They want people's money, they want people's brains, they want people's everything that is possible with their good or bad product. How do you see? Is it an easy fight for you? How do you fix branding then?
Well, I think what's happened with marketing and communications is, if you think about the funnel, right? The funnel that there's a version of the marketing funnel everybody learns at one point, and for simplicity, it kind of starts at the top with attention, or awareness, attention, desire, action, and branding is kind of that awareness. And it makes me kind of go, oh, I know who you are, and I guess I kind of like you and I care about you, so I'll keep going down the funnel. What's happened now is, and if you assume that at the top of that funnel is 100% addressable market, as you go down, obviously those percentages go down because you lose people who, for one reason or another, aren't connecting. Then you get down, and basically the bottom of funnel is, and I'm making this up, so don't, Google me or anything, but let's say it's 10% of the addressable market. What's happening without branding going on now is that everybody is competing in that little, very, very competitive space. So you've got, you're asking messages to do 4 things at once. introduce yourself, get people to care about you, get people to want to pay attention to you and what you go do, and then people buy you all in one kind of message. And that's asking a lot, not only of the consumer, but of any given message, any given creative message. So that's why I think branding is somewhat broken and it needs to be fixed. And in the book, there's a couple of cases and a lot of proof that the more powerful a brand is, the better your performance marketing. So if you have a kind of a sail up in the brand winds, you're going to blow farther. You're going to have more behind you to achieve better things and to sell more with your performance marketing, because it's going to be a recognized and liked logo. It's kind of like, the example I use is you walk into a party and you see nobody that you know. So who are you going to go engage with? Is it the obnoxious one that's saying, come over to me, I've got a beer for you and I've got da-da-da? Or are you looking for somebody that you already know that you think you'll spend your time with and it will be fruitful and it will be advantageous? That's what a brand is. A brand kind of says the risk has been removed. You know who I am. You know what I stand for. You know why you should care about me. And you know why we should potentially have a transaction. And that's the essence of it. And I think what's happened now in the last 5-10 years with data is everybody's trying to do that, all of that in that one bottom part of the funnel in the most competitive place, and it's costing millions of dollars, and it's not as effective, and it's unsustainable because funnels are designed to drain. So you've got to fill in that funnel with new people who will care about you. And that's what I'm trying to do. So the idea of appreciated branding is, if you really want to break through, if you really want to be noticed, you have to do things that appeal to the values of those who you want to attract. So as an example, small example, there's a story of a real estate agent. And this one floats around. You guys, somebody may have heard it on this podcast. I heard it recently, and I thought this applies exactly to what I'm talking about. Guy's trying to start a real estate business in a neighborhood, and he cannot get any traction. He's spending his marketing budget on bus back benches. He's spending it on billboards. He's spending it on mail, and he just cannot get traction. Well, what he finds out is that in this neighborhood, there's a garbage strike. The garbage isn't being picked up. So he decides, well, I'm going to spend some of my marketing budget and just have the garbage picked up for all the people in this neighborhood. So he does that. He doesn't go brag about it, but word gets out. And he eventually gets calls from people in the neighborhood saying, hey, how do I reimburse you for this? How do I pay you for this? And all he said was, you don't have to pay me. Just if you ever want to sell your house or someone who wants to buy one, just think of me. Within a year, he had $1 million book of business. So that's what I'm talking about, appreciated branding, doing things that will break through by virtue of their positivity or their proactivity or their generosity. And you're just taking your budget and you're spending it on something that will get better attention and be more appreciated than interruption, which is a model that's been around for 70 years. And it is out of control, in my view, right now. Long answer.
Absolutely. Yeah, great point. Appreciated branding. That's a great point you make. But you see, is it only for this whole appreciated branding? Is it for long-term brands? Because there are so many fly-by-night operators. So does it only matter for, only people who want to be there in the long haul? A lot of people just want to create a business, sell it at the first instance, get the money, and fly off to wherever they want to. Does it work there? That's why they don't care about the customer. Very few people care about the customer. Forget about the middle ones, younger, lower rung people. Even the bigger companies, they don't care about the customer. All they need know is that they can rebuild their brand because they've got huge, big pockets. So I want to understand then, who is this appreciated branding for? Is it for everyone? It ideally should be for everyone. But then how do you tell the fly-by-night operators to think of appreciated branding? I want to understand this a bit more for the audience.
Sure. Yeah. So from my point of view, the fly-by-night operators are kind of like the watch salesman on the corner with the trench coat. I don't know who they are. I don't know what I don't know if what they're selling is reputable. I don't know if it has any quality to it. I don't know anything about them, and my expectations would be that the product would be kind of junky. Now, you might have a booming business doing that, but there's a finite amount of people, and word travels fast. So if you're the one selling this stuff, especially in social channels and social media, you'll get found out, and you'll eventually. Now, you might make a ton of money, but you're not going to start a new business under that brand name because it's going to be tarnished. I mean, a brand is your reputation, and if your reputation isn't about doing good things for people, isn't about providing quality products, isn't about standing by your products, if it's just about the selfish intent of making money, you're not really building a brand. You're just chasing transactions. And again, those are perfectly viable businesses for some people. But if you want to be in business for the long haul, and you want to keep customers and get repeat purchases from customers, it's something like 10 times more expensive to get noticed and get a new customer than it is to get a current customer to repeat purchase. So it's the economics of branding are clear. If you become known and you start to get known as a brand, however big or small you are, whether you're a real estate agent or whether you're a big, huge P&G global brand, when people notice that you care about them, then they'll care about you. And if you don't care about them, then you might get their money once, and I don't think they're coming back.
Right, Reid. Let's then understand it a bit more through your book, Appreciated Branding: Transform Your Brand from Ignore to Irreplaceable. How have you dealt this subject? Is it about, for a real estate person, you talked about he does something good for the society, so the society notices it. A lot of other people also keep on doing. A lot of companies think, why will I do it? Because it's not my job. My job is maximum profit. So how does it work? Tell us, beyond the realtor, how should a general company get started with this particular thing called appreciated branding? Is it for older companies, or is it for any new company? How do they get started with this particular thing that you talk about?
I think it's what the way it's structured now, and it's in my book. I think it can be used for any brand, any company, but it really works well for mature brands who are on a thing I call the Plateau of Indifference. People know who they are. They have plenty of opportunities there are plenty of competitors, plenty of Me Too products out there. So they have no motivation to choose one brand over the other, except for usually price. So if you're a laundry detergent, for example, and you go into the grocery store, there's a whole, 30-meter aisle, 2 meters high of nothing but laundry detergents that, they're just different brands. And people generally, particularly nowadays with with inflation, they're just buying the one that's going to be cheapest. So they have no brand allegiance necessarily. The beauty of brand appreciation is you're doing things that are unexpected that make them allegiant. And one of my favorite cases that's in my book, and what's ironic about this is that you're in India, and this is a case from India. And you're probably familiar with it, Ariel detergent.
Yes.
Share the load. That is one of the best examples of appreciated branding, because instead of spending, however many millions in the spring, Ariel spends, and then in the fall, what is it? What's the main competitor? Probably Surf, right, or something. And each of them are, one spends a bunch of money to try and get share, and then the next 6 months, someone spends a bunch of money, and they get little right of the decimal point share growth. With Share the Load, Ariel's sales went up 76%. 76%. You don't get that from performance marketing. What happened was moms and women said, thank you. Thank you for helping the rest of the world understand that it's just not always my job to do the laundry. That is appreciated branding. And those are the kinds of exponential sales jumps that you're never going to get from performance marketing. And that's why appreciated branding is so powerful today, because you're looking at all the same tools everybody else has unless you use this one, right? Because all you can do is spend more money on more interruption and hope, you get more sales, and you probably will. There's probably some ROI metrics or something. I mean, I'm a creative director, so don't talk to me about math, but I can tell you that when you make an emotional connection with somebody and they feel appreciation for what that brand has proactively done for them, they want to pay it back. They want to use that brand.
Right, Reid. So you talk about matured brands. Then why is it that matured brands have not understood it? Why are they? Were they waiting for your book?
Yes.
Or there are smart people.
They're waiting for my book. They're waiting for my book because honestly, Jay, I've seen these campaigns out there, and that's part of what inspired this book. Was they're like, there's something else going on with these campaigns, and even some of the work I've done in my career, where I realized, wow, this was kind of the beginning of this type of thinking. It's the old Henry Ford quote: if you ask a customer what they want, they'd say a faster horse. Well, this is a completely new way to think about branding, and it's not expensive. It's you take a small number of your budget and you start solving some bigger problems for people, you're going to get really positive attention, and they're going to share that on your behalf. So it's going to be money well invested. Another example I would use is, there's purpose-based marketing, which is this big altruistic kind of, we want to help, replant the rainforest. And it's like, oh, that's great. That's great. Let's say you're a home builder company or something, and you want to help replace the wood that you use or whatever. Well, we're going to spend $10 million and we're going to replant the rainforest. And I am sitting in my house, in my neighborhood, wherever, going, well, that's great, but that's way over there. And I'm not saying it's not good that companies want to do that. I think that's great. They should do that. But if you want to get a little more bang for your buck and still do good, then spend $10 million planting trees in the neighborhoods where you want your customers to appreciate you, to think higher of you. So the best outdoor ad in history is a tree planted by a company that you drive by every time and you go, who planted that tree? It's that company. I got to go shop there. They did good. They did good for me, for my neighborhood. So again, it does work best for mature brands because they're already known, and all you have to do is say, hey, we're still here and we want to help. We don't just want your money. We want to, we're not just there like I said earlier with trying to sell you a watch. We want you to feel the benefits of the emotional solution. And so the other thing I would add, Jay, is that one of my constructs is I think I call the brand appreciation pyramid. And on one side, you have basically what's rational, what's expected, what the product does, what the company says about the product. Let's say it's a floor polish that's also a cake topping or something. And then you have what the product solves at the very top, which might be the need to both, clean your floor and have cake, right? So that's the solution. So it's says, does, solves. And there's the rational side, and then there's the emotional side. And on the emotional side, I call that appreciation, unexpected. People expect everything on the rational side. They expect you to be telling them what your product does. They expect you to be, discounting it or offering coupons or whatever. All the things it does in its category are expected. And that's why mature brands are a great place for this, because the mature brands are they're in very crowded categories, and it's very hard for them to break through. So if you do things that are unexpected, if you do things that they don't see coming, and it makes them go, oh, wait a minute, that was really nice of them. That was really cool. They planted trees in my neighborhood. I love that. That's going to get you much more attention, and it'll get you noticed, and it'll get people appreciating you. And that's the secret to breaking out.
So do you think it's a utopian idea, or is it actually gaining ground, or will it be that they will be forced to do it rather than accept it willingly? because they have not done it. Many of these people have not done it till now.
I think for those that understand it, it will grow their businesses more so than they would have if they didn't do it. You can keep, what is it? The definition of insanity is trying the same thing over and over again, and expecting a different result. This is a different way to think about it. Is it utopian? I don't know. I mean, does it make the world a better place? Yes. Is that my goal? Absolutely. We borrow the world from our children, and I want to leave a better one for mine and for everybody else. And so if by doing good things for the world, a brand can become more competitive and more profitable, why is that a hard decision? That seems pretty easy to me.
Absolutely. It seems easy to me, but the problem is with the mind, many people find it difficult to understand or to consume, or maybe they are made up from different stuff. Be that as it may, I also want to understand from you, Reid, is about the USP, unique selling proposition, you say is now dead. Why do you say it? Many still find it the most beautiful thing about themselves or their brand.
Well, the unique selling proposition was created by Rosser Reeves in at least 100 years ago. And in that environment, rational explanations of new products was pretty exciting. So when the car came out, wow, what's unique about that? Well, you don't need to feed it oats, and you don't need to clean up after it, and it goes faster. Those are all great, unique, rational benefits. We are 100 years later. There are hundreds of cars in the car category. So differentiating them is very difficult. And you'll notice over the years, there was a period of time where there were basically cars, and then there became, Chevy cars or whatever, and then luxury cars and then ultra luxury cars. And that's how they all tried to differentiate them and build more market share. The unique selling proposition, I believe, has given way to what now is more differentiating, which something I call the unique emotional solution. So, for example, Snickers candy bars, they for years said, it's chocolatey nougat filled with peanuts. Snickers really satisfies. That's a very rational argument. It's a unique selling proposition, but is it really that unique in a category that has 1,000 other sweet treats that you can get, and many of them with peanuts and nougat and caramel and chocolate? So they realized one day that they needed to come up with what I'm calling a unique emotional solution. And what they did is they figured out that there's something about being human that if you haven't eaten, you're not performing at your best. And so they came up with this insight: you're not yourself when you're hungry. That was a global campaign. It was eminently entertaining, and it provided air cover for people who wanted to have a Snickers by saying you're taking matters into your own hands about being well fueled for what you're going to go try and do. That's an oversimplification, but it is really the truth. Another example might be, Dove. So Dove is a great global example of a unique emotional solution. So the unique selling proposition of Dove, I think, is something like a quarter moisturizing cream, or something like it's easier on your skin or something. And that's a unique selling proposition. And in the beauty category, and I'm not clearly I'm not in the beauty category, but it's something that has become kind of ubiquitous. It's kind of like everybody's saying, we're going to treat your skin nicer. We've got this, we do this, we do this. So 20 years ago now, Dove realized, wow, there's another emotional issue here. And it came out of the insight that something like only 4% of women in the world thought they were actually beautiful. And wow, that sucks. Like, that's not right. That shouldn't be the case. So Dove decided to launch this thing, the Campaign for Real Beauty. And they basically said, everybody's beautiful in their own way. And wow, thank you, Dove. Thank you for getting me out of this rut of thinking I can't live up to this unreal expectation of female beauty, because women are all beautiful in their own way. And so they celebrated that, and they've been doing it for 20 years. They just did one that came out recently for AI. I don't know if anybody saw that on the show, but It's terrific. It just says we're never, if you put into AI, show me the most beautiful women in the world, it shows you the typical blonde hair, blue-eyed beach, beauty. And then you type in, show me the most beautiful women in the world according to Dove. And it shows these wonderfully rich images of women who, have sparks in their eye and they're beautiful. They may not look like, they just walked out of a talent agency, but they are beautiful in their own way. And Dove basically makes a promise. We're not going to use AI in any of our ads. So what another thank you. Thanks, Dove. And Dove went from a $2.5 billion to, I think today it's a $6.5 billion brand. So it has tripled in size since it started that campaign. Sounds pretty good to me if I were a CEO.
Absolutely. There's much to learn about branding, about appreciated branding from you, Reid, and I'm sure a lot of people would want to learn more about you, more from you, more from your book. So what's the best way for them to connect with you?
Well, my website, appreciatedbranding.com. Right now it has a free download of my pyramid. And the book will be out in June. Hopefully, we're on the last round of formatting for that. So, and I'll have a link to that on my site too, appreciatedbranding.com.
Wonderful. With this, it's a wrap on this very special edition of the KAJ Masterclass Live. Thank you so much indeed for joining us.
Thank you, Ajay. Appreciate it.